Hello, good morning. Welcome to the IBM's Maximo Summer Series with Starboard Consulting and IBM. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm with Starboard Consulting. We're here today to talk about Maximo Reliability Strategies. Just two quick notes. We are requesting engagement through questions and answers and also product requests, questions regarding the application. We have a Q&A box at the top of your margin. If you would like to request anything from our presenter, or if you have any questions on the topic, please use the Q&A box up there to submit those. As mentioned, we're here for Maximo and reliability, and from personal experience, I've been around Maximo and around reliability for quite some time, and it's been a challenge to get the things together. And it's great to be able to present today, a nice focused discussion on things you can do today with Maximo regarding your asset reliability program. So I'm excited to welcome Derek Feline. Derek is brings a practitioner point of view to the topic. He lived through a lot of this that he's going to talk about today. So he's open for questions, and if there's things you want to drill down on, please use the Q&A function, and we'll get those to Derek. So without further ado, Derek, the floor is yours. Thank you for leading us today.
Great. Bill, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So a little technical difficulty. I've lost the ability to see the screen right now. So
all right, we're on slide AI-driven reliability with IBM Reliability Strategies.
Okay. Let me just a second.
You want to download the version you sent me last night? I can navigate.
Sure. I'll just ask you to advance the slides in.
You got it, Derek. No problem.
All right. So good morning, everybody. Sorry about that. As Bill said, my name is Derek Feline. I am the product manager for the Reliability Strategies application. The application, relatively new to the IBM Maximo Application Suite, came over about 2 years ago. It's been through 2 releases now. This was the content that you're going to see came through an acquisition through a company called Uptake. But prior to that, the library really is about 30 years old, was born out of the nuclear power industry, was privatized, and then has been expanded to include assets from other industries since that point in time. So if you want to go to the next slide. I can't see it, so you just tell me when you're there. Yeah. It's just our disclaimer that some of what we may talk about will be on the roadmap, so there's not a commitment to that yet, but I will show a demo of what exists in 9.1 today. But yeah, there will be some roadmap discussion, so just no commitments to that. Next slide.
We're there.
So really, the intent of reliability strategies is to allow folks to optimize their maintenance, asset performance, and their asset lifespan using reliability-centered maintenance, or really reliability-centered maintenance principles. So again, the library, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the library is really based on our RCM principles, built through RCM principles. So when you look at RCM, there's some significant benefits that can be realized, obviously, right? If we do this right and we optimize our strategies, you can maximize revenue through improved equipment reliability and reductions in downtime. I can reduce costs. I'm not doing unnecessary maintenance. Taking care of the equipment, I'm naturally going to extend the lifespan. I can identify what the appropriate technologies to deploy are. What are the best technologies? If I can do something through condition monitoring versus a time-based task, I can identify that. Or the opposite, if I don't have the ability to monitor a specific failure mode, there may be a time-based task that I need to deploy that's still cost-effective. And then really, if I can enhance equipment reliability, make the equipment safer, I reduce the risks associated with equipment failure and regulatory appliance. So what we find though is, I can achieve all these benefits. So why isn't RCM more widely adopted? Why is it, even in some cases, kind of a bad word in some organizations, right? Organizations that have tried to implement it and not had much success. It's really because it's hard. It's time and resource intensive. It takes your best people, and because it takes your best people a significant amount of time, it's inherently expensive. And then typically you're doing it in third-party tools or more than likely in a tool like Excel. So it's really kind of difficult to scale. So what we really try to do is solve that through the application of our reliability strategy library, which gives you access to about 800 different assets, really where the failure modes and effects analysis has already been performed. There's some recommendations for maintenance tasks that can mitigate those failure modes, with some recommendations for how often you should do those tasks based on criticality and operating context. Also, as you move forward with the reliability strategies, you create your own strategies. Now, you may create new failure modes or new asset types. Those are stored as well, so those are digitized. You can leverage those in the creation of new assets or when you modify existing strategies. We've added a generative AI powered FMEA builder. I'll show that, but which will allows you to use generative AI to see some recommendations for additional failure modes that you might want to include. And really what our focus on in 9.1 and going forward is how do we integrate the information from reliability strategies throughout the application suite. So, tying those failure modes to failure reporting, tying those to job plans and work orders so that you understand when I'm performing a PM, why am I performing this PM, exactly what failure modes is it mitigating, et cetera. And then we're trying to build it in a way where, Maximo has a lot of existing functionality. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So when we look at how do we integrate this information, how do we automate things like the creation of job plans and PMs, we want to make sure we're using existing Maximo functionality that users are already deploying. Next slide.
Right there, Derek.
Okay, so really just talking real quickly about the library. Talked about it already, so I won't spend a bunch of time, but again, it's about 800 asset types based on sound RCM principles. It's subject matter expert driven, so it's really I look at it more as a knowledge base versus a database. So the intent is, as these were developed, you had experts in the room capture as much knowledge around a given asset type as could be extracted from those experts, and it's done following a specific process that's been called expert elicitation, and really the idea is to capture as much, like I said, capture as much knowledge from these experts as possible. So you can see it's been developed over 25 years. We estimate there's really about 32,000 years of experience that have gone into the library, 58,000 failure modes, 5,000 PM tasks, et cetera. So it's an extensive library. Obviously, it can't cover every asset. So also what I'll show you using Gen AI and some other tools, how we're allowing you to expand those or modify those to meet your specific assets and operating context. Next slide.
Right there, Derek.
All right, just a quick timeline. Like I said, this is a relatively new product, and I came to IBM with the acquisition, was involved with it even prior to that with a previous company that was acquired by Ftake. But as the product manager, I'm excited now that IBM is really investing some time and resources into reliability strategies and in they see the value in the integration across the Maximo Application Suite. So it's kind of an exciting time from a product management standpoint, in that the value of the information and the value of what can what can be created through reliability strategies and how to leverage that throughout the suite, is being accepted by the larger IBM product management team, and this is becoming kind of a core piece of the application suite. So again, quickly acquired the library in April of 2003. We're able to just get kind of the initial version of it into the product in the 8.11 release, which was June of 2023. And that really was just the ability to view the library content. You couldn't interact with it, you couldn't modify it, but you did have access to it and could view it. A year later in 9.0, there was the ability to interact and kind of edit the content, but still no real integration. So 9.1 is really where we're starting to integrate the content into manage, and also initiating some additional features that make it more RCM compliant, with SAE JA 1011. And then again, going forward with the roadmap, the intent is really now what's the further integration and automation that we can leverage to really allow you to scale this very quickly. Next slide.
We're there, Derek.
Really, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but this is really around how RCM fits in with kind of the larger asset lifecycle management, asset performance management, and then going forward, actually asset investment planning, which is a new module that's being released. So really how these things work together, and it's really, RCM kind of lays the foundation in the planning phase. You operate those assets, you obtain data from those assets, you have failures or adverse conditions, and now what do you do with that? How do you optimize that and feed that back in a continuous loop? So you're updating your strategies, your failure modes, et cetera, in order to prevent additional failures or prevent failures before they occur on other similar assets, et cetera. So really it's just the idea of this fitting into the whole process, and kind of being foundational in that process. And next slide.
We're there, Derek.
Again, not just, I won't spend a lot of time here, but just looking at what we're thinking of in 9.2 and beyond. We want to expand the strategy generation, expand the library so that that's available. Other things with expand the use of the generative AI to include like multimodal AI, so that you can start uploading documents and use Gen AI to develop failure modes and strategies, maybe from OEM manuals or drawings, P&IDs, et cetera. So really expanding the Gen AI features there. Introducing some things like risk matrices into reliability strategies, being able to kind of establish parent-child relationships between strategies. So if I have a location that may have a pump and a motor and a valve, kind of being able to nest existing strategies that I may have already developed, leverage those to kind of speed up the process. Improved workflows, and again, just integration across the suite. Integration with HSE, a lot of activity around condition-based maintenance and agentic AI to start taking action and prescribing maintenance, and that maintenance would be based on what we know about the equipment and the failure modes, et cetera. Automated strategy optimization is definitely something that we're looking at, so that based on some inputs, kind of some value framework, some economics, be able to make recommendations for what the strategies should be, what tasks should I perform, what intervals should I perform those at, and what's the benefit of that, in terms of reliability and cost. So next slide. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So with that, let me share my screen. It's not letting me share my screen, Bill.
Yeah, I'm having that same issue. I can't give you control.
Do you want me to jump out and come back in?
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
let me do that. Be right back.
Give us a moment, please.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we're experiencing the same issue. There's no ability to give you control.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Yes,
Okay, you see my screen?
yes, we can, Derek.
All right, I'll just walk through the application then. So reliability strategies is available as an add-on to manage. Um, you can get to it through the left nav under assets. Click on reliability strategies. You'll have a landing page similar to this. Or not similar to it. It is this. And what you'll see is two tabs. One is the library, and one is allows you to create your own custom strategies. So just very quickly looking at the library, I have multiple asset types that I can choose from. If I'll pick a battery. Um, I get several different kinds that I can choose. Let's say a NiCad battery. I want to get the strategy very quick. I get land here. I get some summary information. I can see there's 22 failure modes, 6 mitigation activities, and I'll get a boundary statement that tells me kind of what is the bounds of this asset. So how did I define this asset for this particular study? I can look at the failure modes associated with this asset. If I drill into a component, I'll see what are the mechanisms or can that component fail. In this case, it could be improper connection or mechanical damage. Drill into those. What are the influences or the causes for that? So foreign objects and proper cleaning. Once I get to that bottom tier, now I get some information about that failure mode. In this case, it's a random type failure mode, so it's likely to occur, the same likelihood to occur tomorrow as it is 5 years from now. Some repair times, discovery opportunities to me is kind of key because it tells me how might I identify that this failure mode is occurring. So how would I build my maintenance tasks? And then at the bottom, the maintenance activities or the mitigation activities that could detect or prevent this failure mode. So if I click on one of those, it actually takes me to the mitigation activities tab. I can now see all of the mitigation activities that apply to this asset type with some recommended intervals based on the criticality, the duty cycle, and the service condition. And then again, why would I do this task? What's the purpose of this particular task? Cell inspection. Um, what was the expected labor hours required with that? And what would the job plan look like? So some details around a job plan, how I could build that job plan. And then under that, again, is a listing of all of the failure modes that this task could detect or mitigate. So I can go back and forth from a task to specific failure modes that it might mitigate. From this failure mode, again, I can see what are all the tasks that I could use to mitigate this failure mode. Operating context is specific to the asset. So when I talk about a high duty cycle or a severe environment, what does that exactly mean? In the case of a battery, high duty cycle would be, that it has greater than 400 deep charges over its life or 20 deep discharges per year. And then a severe environment would basically be temperature related for a battery. So if I operate in excess of, this, it would be considered a severe environment. Less than that would be a mild environment. So that's pretty much, again, the library, the way this is set up. The library, you can view the library, you can look at all the content. If there's something that you think you can apply, what I can do is then duplicate this as a custom strategy. So just to save time, I've already done that. So I've duplicated the battery. It's now a custom strategy. And now I have the ability to, if I want to do some kind of a analysis around this and there's a team involved, I can document the team members. I can also associate it to Maximo asset types and Maximo classifications as well here. If there's functions and functional failures that I want to identify, I can do that here and list those. And then just some other general information. If there's, why am I performing this? Is it because these are bad actors, or maybe it's a new asset type? I can just document that as well. You can see it's going to copy the boundary, the criticality definitions, the duty cycle definitions, etc. So really just kind of an overview. It's going to copy in all the failure modes that were listed on the other in the library strategy. But now I also have the ability to add actions. These were copied over a copied strategy, and action and a mitigation activity are going to be one-to-one. I'll explain in a little more detail what those mean in a second. But the mitigation activities in would be those tasks that came from the library, those mitigation activities, those recommended maintenance tasks that could be performed. Those come over as well. And now that I've got this in the custom strategy, this is all stored in my managed database. So it can be reported against, dashboarded against, et cetera, et cetera. And then really now where we're moving from 9.1 and beyond is how do I automate the creation of these tasks when I apply them to assets. So automate that process so that my job plan creation is automated, my PM creation is automated. I've tied these to specific assets, and I can report. I can understand the implementation of what assets have I implemented, which assets have I deviated from this strategy, where are my gaps, et cetera, et cetera. So to be able to scale this and apply it, across as many assets as I want to. So it'll let you apply these to assets. And now if I click on the asset, it's going to have a link back to this strategy from the asset as well. Just to kind of demonstrate how I might do this if it was maybe not a library strategy. I had an asset that wasn't available in the library. I wanted to create it myself. How can I do that? How can I maybe use the generative AI features to enable that? So to do this here for this demo, I picked actually just to show that the Gen AI actually works. I picked something completely out of the library. So I picked my washing machine. Gave it a description of this LG wash tower and a model number. Again, I can associate it to an asset type or a classification in Maximo. I just created a couple simple functions and functional failures. But if you see down here in the FMEA boundary, I actually generated this using the Gen AI tool. So if I just click on this generate recommendation button, it's going to go out, it's going to create this boundary. So in this case, it talks about what this equipment does and what those components that are included would be. I can then edit this. I can delete components. If there's something that it didn't catch that I know exists, I can add a new component. So I can modify this boundary as I see fit, but it's really just meant to kind of jumpstart the creation. Once I have that, now I want to start creating failure modes. A couple ways I can do that. I can add them from scratch just by opening the form and creating my own own failure mode. I can, if I've created additional custom strategies, I can search and import those here as well. And I can do the same thing with reading failure modes from the strategy library itself and leverage those and pull those over. But what I can also do, I change views to this hierarchical view, and what that does is it enables the AI FMEA builder feature. So for this inlet valve, again, I've already created mechanisms and influences using Gen AI, but just to show how it works, if I've got this other component here and I want to start building failure modes around that component, I can just hit the recommendation button. It's going to go out and that's going to come back and say, here's the, five, in this case, five mechanisms that apply to that component. So I can look at these, I can accept them, I can not accept them. If I don't agree that that's a valid mechanism for this component, I don't have to choose it. And I'll add those influences. Where was I? Sorry. So I've just generated those influences for this perforated diaphragm on this inlet outlet valve. So that's quickly how you could do that. Again, same thing. If I wanted to generate them for the leaky seals, I now have those. I've created those as well. Now, if I go to the failure mode, back to the failure mode page, those now are existing on my failure modes. I can go into those. I can attach the functions that I've created. In this case, clean the clothes. I can describe the failure effects and consequences. If I'm performing RCM, oftentimes there's an RPN calculation that folks want to perform. Basically, they essentially categorizing this failure mode. Is it a critical failure mode or not? So if it occurs, how severe is it? What's the likelihood that it's going to occur? And what's my ability to detect it? So we'll calculate what's known as an RPN number. And if I change the number, you can see I get to points where it starts giving me warnings. This is configurable in the application as well. So many folks have a matrix that they use to establish what's an acceptable RPN number and what's unacceptable. And they can base this on that. So actions, think of actions as job plan tasks. So in this case, I've already created some actions. And so maybe this one applies, inspection might apply to this particular failure mode. My inlet and outlet valves corroded solenoid coil windings due to chemical exposure. If that inspection exists and applies, I can use it. Now I can modify this task to say I want to inspect the coil. So I can start building the content for a job plan and a job plan task at this point here. Save that. And then ultimately, what I want to do is build those mitigation activities. So annual inspection, in this case, what are the actions that I've associated with that? This inspection has been associated, but I can see that, this is now covering 3 failure modes. So I've got a link from mitigation activities back to the actions, back to the failure modes. And now as we create job plans and PMs, we want to carry that linkage forward so that at the job plan level, I understand exactly what failure modes each job plan and each job plan task is actually mitigating. One thing I don't think that I covered very well here. Let me back up a little. If I open a failure mode, one thing that's new in 9.1 is the ability to link a failure mode to a problem cause, to a failure classification. So I can link it to my existing failure classifications. Once I do that, I can select a problem code or problem codes that this failure mode might be related to. Same thing with the cause once I select the problem. So now I've got the ability to tie failure modes to my problem cause remedy codes for failure reporting. So to enrich that failure reporting instead of just a list of cause codes, now I can drive actually into what are the failure modes that are actually causing those failures. With that, I guess I'll stop and see if there's any questions, Bill, or that's essentially the application, how it works.
No, thank you, Derek. No, I think you covered a couple questions that were asked before regarding the oil libraries from uptake. I did put a question in about anyone attending Maximo World 2025 next week, if there's interest in speaking more. I know we can arrange something, but we did get a question come in, and Derek, I'll share this with you. Can you try mitigation actions to inspection? Can you tie mitigation actions to inspection forms?
So that is on the roadmap, exact. So to be able to, from a mitigating action, create that as a PM, a route, or tie inspection forms to that and build those inspection forms. Ultimately, the vision is this becomes your template for everything associated with that asset strategy. So we want to bring in meter groups, be able to tie those to failure modes as well, so that and specifications, so that essentially I could build a template for a group of assets and understand everything that I need to implement that strategy, from like meters, what types of PMs, is it a route, is it am I going to use an inspection form, etc. So really that is the vision going forward, is this becomes your template for building that strategy, and then be able to scale that out to those strategies very quickly, automate the creation of the PMs and job plans, and then be able to understand the status of the implementation across those assets as well.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we have an additional question, Derek. Is it possible to set a metric to monitor the success of a mitigation action on assets?
So again, that's what we're looking at on the roadmap. So you make a change to a strategy or you implement a strategy, you're expecting to see some result, whether it's a decrease in failures of specific failure mode. Maybe it's cost, right? Maybe I want parity in the reliability, but I think I can get that for less cost. So this strategy should drive my cost down. So all of those things are, we're working with the rest of the product management team really around the APM. The APM product management team is where to best surface all that. But the short answer is today, no. In the future, yes, we want to be able to monitor, the effects of implementing these strategies going forward. There'll be some kind of a dashboard that will be in place that allows us to do that. Did that answer the question?
I think so. If you want to, if you want to follow up on that, please just, yes, it did. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't want to name names. I didn't want to incriminate the innocent. So, yes, but we got confirmation. Okay, great. Thank you, Derek. We have an additional question here. Can you demonstrate or explain how a mitigation action might be tied to a condition monitoring point? You can do this either through a PM or directly.
Yeah,
You can repeat it, but
I think I understand the question. So exactly what we want to be able to do is, and again, I'm talking about the The roadmap is at the failure mode level, just like we've brought in, the failure classifications, bring in the uh, meters that might be associated with this failure mode. So if I could monitor if this is a pressure, increase in pressure might indicate that this failure mode is occurring, be able to tie that meter in, and then through that, be able to tie it to, I talked about leveraging as much existing functionality as we can. So using meters and the condition monitoring application, be able to do just that, right? Make all those linkages, or it could be that there's an anomaly detection model that we could deploy through monitor that would do this. And so it might be a multivariate type of monitoring, but we want to be able to initiate that through reliability strategies. And hopefully that answered the question.
See if we get the confirmation in the chat. It's weird to have everyone on mute, but works best.
And again, the applications, it's about 2 years old now, and so we know there's tons of use cases just like that, and we have a lot of them in our backlog. But I would just say things like that, if you want to bring them to our attention, if you go to ideas.ibm.com, you can drop those ideas in there too. We do see all of those, and we include them in our in the roadmap planning. So yeah, there's tons of use cases, and so I know that we haven't thought of all of them. So please, if you have ideas like that, ideas.ibm.com is the place to go and document those.
All right, we have another question forthcoming, Derek. So if you have it handy, if you want to throw that ideas website into the chat, I could give it a shot, but I'm pretty clunky. I don't want to. I'd probably end up closing the call. So. Just going to give it a little time. Okay. Thank you, Derek, for the website. And Michael, question: are there any current customers using the current version that you can speak about their successes or use cases?
So 9.1, no, not yet. Folks are just kind of performing that upgrade. There's several on 9.0. Again, it's a relatively new, and it's contingent on being upgraded to MAS. So we do have quite a few on 8.11, a smaller number on 9 right now, and then obviously 9.1 is just a new release. What I can say is that we're working with a handful of kind of very key customers that have helped kind of shape this. So large customers that are planning their upgrades, say this year, that are working with us and kind of validating that this is going in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Give it another 60 seconds or so. Thank you for the questions so far. While we're waiting, I did want to mention that Starboard Consulting works closely with IBM as a gold partner. We do mass workshops. We do things on site or at IBM Innovation Studios, and this topic something of interest. Please reach out. We can arrange an on-site or a meeting at a mass workshop at an innovation studio. But we have a new question, Derek. It is, how is the library shared with other customers?
So I would assume that that's directed how, like, so all customers have access to the IBM Reliability Strategy Library. So I'm assuming the question is if I wanted to share custom strategies and see what other folks are doing with custom strategies, share my strategies. Okay, so when we add failure data, how is that information shared in the pool? So that's right now, it's not, there's no way to do that because we don't have access to your data. Um, but what we're looking at is ways for customers that are willing to share that data um, to be able to pool that, share it across customers, and be able to add it back into the library. So there may be an option where if you create a strategy, you're willing to share it publicly. Now you get access to other shared content that customers are sharing, and then we can, in total, we can take that and also apply that to the overall library as well and make those changes. So that's something that we're considering for the future. We've had customers that say, absolutely, I'm not willing, this is proprietary, I'm not willing to share it. And then there's, others that just say, hey, a pump is a pump is a pump. There's nothing proprietary about it. So I want to see what others are doing strategy wise. Maybe they're doing some things and being successful that I could learn from. So we want to figure out how to try to enable that as well, almost kind of developing a community around uh, these strategies, across, within an industry or across industries.
Great. Thanks, Derek. Give it another 30 seconds or so. Get your questions in, please. If you have anything left over, please reach out to us at any point. We will send a copy of the presentation along with the recording. Give us a little time, but we'll package that up and get that out to everyone following the conclusion. Derek, I assume you can see the questions here.
Yeah, I see them now.
Okay, great. I'll read just to make sure everyone's listening. Yep. Is there a way to identify, flag any actions related to regulatory requirements regardless of failure mode?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is being able to tag, basically use tags to allow users to configure those tags and then apply them as they need. So you could tag a mitigating action or an action as a regulatory requirement. So yeah, we are definitely looking at ways that folks will be able to do that. So that could be, regulatory requirements or uh, any other needs to kind of classify uh, components within reliability strategies. You'd be able to tag those.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions. A few more. I guess we're approaching a quarter of the hour, which is a good, nice solid 45 minutes. Unless anyone has anything else they'd like to uncover or discuss with Derek.
I'll just say my contact information should be on the last slide of the deck when that goes out. So if something comes up, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to discuss any of that.
Yeah, let me just throw that up there real quick before we. There, that is, want to take a screenshot. We'll send this out as well. Yes, we will get this recording out. We can do it. If we can do it in one take, it'll take a lot shorter time. Might be automated. So you'll see that communication shortly. And without at this point, I would like to say thank you to everyone who attended today. Thank you for the great questions. Derek, thank you for leading the session and giving the overview of what it's all about and what it means, and for taking the questions and responding to all. If there's future interest, please reach out. As mentioned, we are looking to share more of this information with more people about the benefits and what you're able to do, and we do that on site or at an innovation studio, and would welcome the opportunity to do that for you at an appropriate time. And last but not least, this is our Maximo Summer Series. This was part one. Part two is the Maximo for Real Estate and Facilities. We have Amy Harpst and Travis Peterson. Another excellent presentation team scheduled for August 27th. And so I invite you to attend that if you're interested in that space management portion for Maximo. So thank you again, Derek, and thank you everyone for attending. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your summer. Bye-bye.